The Velen tribe gathered in a clearing near the outpost. It was the morning of the third day since Taeyang had rescued Lyra. The entire tribe was present, over 200 warriors and families. They sat in a circle around a ceremonial fire pit that had been prepared at dawn. The flames burned with colors Taeyang had never seen before, blues and purples mixed with traditional orange. Taeyang stood in the center of the circle. His body was covered in bandages and bruises. He was exhausted, but he stood straight, meeting the eyes of those who watched him. Hyunji and Doyen stood at the edge of the circle, uncertain of what was happening. This gathering had been called suddenly with no explanation. Elder Rin sat on a carved stone seat. She looked even older in the morning light, but her eyes were clear and sharp. Beside her sat Kyle and Vera. Lyra stood near Taeyang, her golden eyes never leaving him. The elder raised one hand and silence fell. When she spoke, her voice carried across the clearing despite its softness. 3 days ago, a stranger came among us, not of our people, not of our world. A human from a place called Earth. She looked at Taeyang. This human did something that shocked us. He saved one of our children from certain death. He fought a death shadow and won. He did not do this for reward. He did not do this to gain our favor. He did this because it was right. The tribe listened in perfect silence. We tested him. We sent him into the deep forest to prove his words. He could have died there. He could have called for help and failed the test. But he did not. He fought. He survived. And more than that, the elder's voice grew stronger. He showed mercy to a creature that could not help him. He chose honor over safety. He chose another's life over his own. She stood up slowly. In our history, there has been only one other time when such an oath was given. 1,000 years ago, when the first hunt leader united our scattered clans. Today, I say we have witnessed something equally important. Kyle stood and walked to the center of the circle. In his hands, he carried a blade. The weapon was clearly ancient, its handle wrapped in worn leather. The blade itself seemed to glow with inner light. Every Velen in the circle gasped when they saw it. This is the oath blade, Kale said. It has not been drawn in 300 years. My grandfather carried it. His grandfather before him. It is drawn only for sacred oaths, only for bonds that last forever. He stood before Taeyang. Then slowly the massive warrior lowered himself to one knee. Taeyang's eyes went wide. Murmurs ran through the tribe. You saved my daughter's life, Kale said. His voice was thick with emotion. You showed me that honor and survival are not enemies. You showed me that strength comes in forms I was too proud to see. You risked everything for someone who was not your family, not your tribe, not even your species. He bowed his head. I was wrong about you, Taeyang Kim, and I am honored to call you friend. One by one, the Velen warriors stood, and one by one they knelt. Vera knelt beside her father. Then Lyra, tears streaming down her face. Then the others. Row after row of warriors, each one bowing to the small human in the center of the circle. Elder Rin's voice rose in a chant. The words were old, in a language that even the translator struggled with. But Taeyang felt the weight of them, felt something building in the air, something almost electric. By blood and bone, by crystal and flame, we bind ourselves to you, Taeyang Kim of Earth. Your enemies are our enemies. Your cause is our cause. Your people are our people. We pledge protection, loyalty, and kinship across all generations. This oath cannot be broken. This bond cannot be severed. We are yours as you are ours until the stars burn cold. The fire in the pit flared higher. Taeyang felt something wash over him, through him. It was like a weight and a warmth at the same time. He suddenly felt connected to every Velen in the circle. He could sense them, feel their emotions, respect, gratitude, and something else, belonging. Taeyang's voice cracked. He cleared his throat and tried again. I do not know what to say. I am just one person. I just did what anyone should do. No, Elder Rin said gently. You did what a human does, and that is something special. She smiled, showing sharp teeth. You have given us a great gift, Taeyang Kim. You have shown us that there are people among the stars who value life over honor, who fight not for glory, but for what is right. In return, we give you the only gift we have, ourselves, our loyalty, our strength, our friendship. Kale stood and offered the oath blade to Taeyang. This blade is yours now. It marks you as one of us, as kin, as family. Taeyang took the blade with shaking hands. It was heavier than he expected, but it felt right in his grip. I accept this honor, and I promise you, I will never betray your trust. I will help your people. I will stand with you, and I will do everything I can to help you understand the galaxy beyond this world." "Then let us feast," Kale shouted. "Let us celebrate the newest member of the Velen tribe." The tribe erupted in cheers. Warriors stood and began preparing food. Someone started a song and others joined in. The mood shifted from solemn to joyful in an instant. Lyra approached Taeyang. She pressed her forehands together in the gesture of respect he had seen before. "Thank you," she said simply. "For everything." "You would have done the same for me," Taeyang said. "Yes," she agreed. "I would. That is why we are friends." Over the next hours, Taeyang was introduced to the entire tribe. Each warrior came to speak with him, to touch the oath blade, to welcome him. He heard their stories, their hunts, their losses, their hopes. He shared his own stories of Earth, of humanity's struggles and triumphs. They listened with fascination. Yunji and Doyun were welcomed as well, as kin of the honored one. Yunji immediately began asking questions about Velen biology and culture. Doyun, after his initial suspicion faded, started discussing security and defense with the Velen warriors. They were comparing weapons and tactics like old soldiers. As the sun began to set, Elder Rin called Taeyang to sit with her. They sat apart from the celebration, looking out at the crystal forest. "You changed us today," the elder said, "not through force or threats, but by being yourself, by showing us a different way." "I did not mean to change anything," Taeyang said. "I just wanted to help." "That is exactly why you succeeded." The elder looked at him with those ancient eyes. "Tell me, Taeyang Kim, what will you do now? You have the loyalty of the Velen. That is not a small thing. We are warriors. We are strong. We will follow you to the end of the galaxy if you ask it." Taeyang thought carefully. "I want to help your people connect with the rest of humanity. To share knowledge. To learn from each other. There is so much we can teach you about the galaxy, and so much you can teach us about survival, about honor, about living in balance with a dangerous world. You want an alliance. I want friendship. Alliance is just a formal word for friends who help each other." The elder smiled. "You are wise for one so young. Yes, let us build this friendship. Let us show the galaxy what happens when humans and Velens work together." She stood slowly. "Come, there is one more thing. A gift from me to you." She led him to a small shelter at the edge of the clearing. Inside was a set of armor, beautifully crafted. It was made in human proportions, but with Velen design. The material looked like it could stop a blade or a bullet. "This is Velen armor made for you. It will protect you, and it will mark you as one of us." The elder placed a hand on his shoulder. "Wear it with honor, Taeyang Kim, and know that wherever you go, you carry the strength of the Velen with you." Taeyang touched the armor. It was warm under his fingers. "I will wear it with pride." That night, the celebration continued under the stars. Taeyang sat with his new family, this strange alien tribe that had pledged their lives to him. He thought about how he had come to this planet as a simple geologist, how he had made a choice to help someone in danger, and how that choice had led to this moment. Lyra sat beside him. "What are you thinking?" she asked. "I am thinking that life is strange," he said. 3 days ago I was alone in a canyon. Now I have 200 warriors sworn to protect me." "Closer to 230, Lyra corrected. "The children count too," Taeyang laughed. 230 then. "Are you happy?" Lyra asked quietly. Taeyang looked around at the celebration. At Kale laughing with Doyun. At Yunji deep in conversation with Velen healers. At Vera teaching human martial arts to curious warriors. At the tribe that had welcomed him not as a stranger but as family. "Yes," he said. "I am happy." "Good," Lyra said. She leaned against his shoulder. "Because you are stuck with us now. The oath cannot be broken. We are your people now. Forever. Forever is a long time." "Not long enough," Lyra said softly. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the fire burn and the stars come out. Somewhere in the cosmos, humanity was spreading among the stars, meeting new species, building new alliances. But here, on this remote frontier planet, one human had done something simple and profound. He had shown kindness. He had chosen compassion over fear. And in doing so, he had earned something that could not be bought or forced. Loyalty. True, eternal loyalty. And that, Taeyang thought, was worth more than all the technology and weapons in the galaxy. The deep forest was darker than any place Taeyang had been before. The crystal formations grew so thick here that they blocked out most of the sunlight. What little light made it through was twisted and broken into strange shadows that seemed to move with purpose. The air tasted of copper and something else, something ancient and dangerous. Taeyang moved carefully, his scanner in one hand. He had basic supplies: a knife, some rope, a water filter, a light source, the medical kit Yunji had forced on him, and the emergency beacon he had promised not to use. Not much to survive 24 hours in the most dangerous place on the planet. He smiled grimly. He had survived in the Amazon rainforest with less. He had lived through a sandstorm in the Sahara with a broken arm. Humans were survivors. It was what they did best. The first challenge came within an hour. The scanner showed a pack of creatures circling him. They stayed just out of sight, testing him, watching. Taeyang found a cluster of large crystal formations and made his first camp in the center. He used the knife to cut markers in the crystals, creating a pattern that would tell him if anything disturbed the area. Then he waited. The creatures came closer. He caught glimpses of them in the shadows, low to the ground, maybe 50 pounds each. Pack hunters. They were waiting for him to show weakness, to fall asleep, to give them an opening. Taeyang did not sleep. Instead, he created noise. He banged rocks together. He sang old Korean songs his mother had taught him. He made himself seem unpredictable, dangerous, not normal prey. After 3 hours, the pack moved on to find easier targets. As night fell, the forest became a different place entirely. The crystals began to glow with a soft bioluminescence. Beautiful. But the light also attracted things. Taeyang heard sounds in the darkness. Clicks, hisses, the scrape of claws on crystal. He moved again, never staying in one place too long. He was following a rule he had learned long ago. Predators expected prey to run in panic or freeze in fear. They did not expect prey to think, to plan, to be clever. Every time Taeyang moved, he left false trails. He doubled back on his path. He climbed when the ground was dangerous and went low when climbing seemed safer. He was unpredictable. Around midnight, he found water, a small stream running between crystal walls. He was refilling his bottle when he heard it. A soft whimpering, something in pain. Every survival instinct told him to ignore it, to keep moving. But Taeyang had never been good at ignoring suffering. He followed the sound and found a small creature trapped between two fallen crystals. It was young, maybe a juvenile. It looked like a combination of a deer and a lizard, with soft fur and scales mixed together. One of its legs was caught. Taeyang approached slowly. The creature tried to flee but could not. Its eyes were wide with terror. Of him, of the forest, of death. Easy, Taeyang said softly. I am going to help you. He worked carefully, using his knife to chip away at the crystal. It took 20 minutes. 20 minutes when anything could have found him. But finally the creature was free. It looked at him for a long moment, then bounded away into the darkness. Taeyang smiled. Maybe that was stupid. Maybe it wasted time. But it felt right. He did not know that golden eyes had watched him from the shadows, that someone had followed him into the deep forest despite being forbidden to do so. The real danger came in the darkest part of night, just before dawn. Taeyang heard them before he saw them. The sound of multiple predators moving together with terrifying coordination. He climbed onto a tall crystal formation and looked down. Shadow Rippers, a pack of at least 8 of them. Each one was the size of a wolf, with black fur that seemed to absorb light. Their eyes glowed red. Their teeth were designed to tear through armor. And they had found his trail. Taeyang's heart pounded. This was beyond what he had faced before. One rift stalker had nearly killed him. 8 Shadow Rippers moving as a coordinated pack? That was death. He looked at the emergency beacon on his belt. One press and help would come. But Lyra would remain shamed. Her honor would not be restored. She would be cast out. Taeyang made his choice. He put the beacon away. The Shadow Rippers were climbing the crystal formation. Their claws found purchase where there seemed to be none. Taeyang pulled out his knife. It looked pathetically small, but it was all he had. The first Ripper reached the top. Taeyang slashed at it. The blade cut across its face. The creature yelped and fell backward. But 3 more were already climbing up from different sides. Taeyang was surrounded. Then a spear flew through the air. It took one of the Shadow Rippers in the throat. The creature fell, dead before it hit the ground. Taeyang spun around. Lyra was there. She had followed him, Her injured leg was bandaged, but she moved well enough. She held another spear ready. "You should not be here," Taeyang shouted. "Neither should you," she shouted back. "But here we are." 2 more rippers reached the top. Taeyang and Lyra fought back to back. She used her spear with skill, her forearms making her deadly. Taeyang used his knife in his mind, going for eyes and throats, looking for weak points. But there were too many. For everyone they hurt, 2 more climbed up. They were going to be overwhelmed. Taeyang noticed something. The crystal formation they were standing on was cracked. Old damage. And below them was a drop into water, the stream he had found earlier. "Can you swim?" he asked Lyra. "What? Can you swim?" "Yes, but jump with me now." Taeyang grabbed her and they leaped off the crystal. The Shadow Rippers tried to follow but were too committed to their attack. Taeyang and Lyra fell 20 feet and hit the water hard. The cold shocked his system, but he held on to Lyra and they surfaced together. Above them, the Shadow Rippers circled on the crystal, snarling. But they did not follow into the water. After a few minutes, they moved on. Taeyang and Lyra pulled themselves onto the bank. They were both shaking from cold and adrenaline. For a long moment, they just breathed. "You followed me," Taeyang said. "Yes. You could have been seen. Your father would be angry." "I do not care." Lyra looked at him. "You came into the deep forest for me, to restore my honor. Did you think I would let you die alone?" Taeyang did not know what to say to that. They heard sounds then. More footsteps. Taeyang reached for his knife, but Lyra touched his arm. "That is my father's walking pattern. And my sister's." Kale and Vera emerged from the shadows. They looked at Lyra with both anger and relief. Then they looked at Taeyang. "We followed you both," Kyle said quietly. "We saw the creature you freed. We saw you fight the pack. We saw you choose to jump rather than use your emergency beacon." Vera stepped forward. Her expression had changed. The hostility was gone. "I was wrong about you, human. I thought you were weak. I thought your words were empty. But you fought 8 Shadow Rippers and survived. You saved my sister's life not once, but twice. And you," she paused, "you showed mercy to a trapped creature when it gave you no advantage. That is not weakness. That is something I do not have a word for." Kale nodded slowly. "Lyra should not have followed you. She broke the terms of the test. By our law, this means your test is void. You failed." Taeyang felt his heart sink, but Kale continued. "However, Elder Rin made a prophecy before we followed you. She said, the test is not in the forest. The test is in the heart. And those who pass the test of the heart need no other proof." I did not understand her words then. He looked at Taeyang with new eyes. "I understand now. You did not come here to prove you are strong. You came here because you care about my daughter's honor more than your own life. That is something we have forgotten." The first light of dawn was breaking through the crystals. Taeyang had survived the night. Not alone, not by being the strongest or the fastest, but by being himself, by being human. "Come," Kyle said. "The tribe waits. And Elder Rin has things to say to you." They walked together through the deep forest as it slowly filled with light. Taeyang limped. Lyra supported him on one side, Vera on the other. Kale walked ahead, his weapons lowered. The test was over, but something bigger was just beginning. The sun rose slowly over Kessa 7, painting the crystal forest in shades of gold and purple. Taeyang stood at the edge of the outpost perimeter, waiting. His body still ached from the venom, but he refused to sit. He wanted to meet the Velen tribe on his feet, with dignity. Yunji and Doyen stood behind him, both nervous. Doyen had his hand near his weapon, though Taeyang had made him promise not to draw it unless absolutely necessary. Inside the outpost, Lyra watched through a window, her face pressed against the glass. They came through the crystal formations like shadows taking solid form. 24 Velen warriors, each standing over 7 feet tall. Their skin shimmered in shades of blue and silver. They wore armor made from some kind of organic material, and each carried weapons that looked both beautiful and deadly. Spears, blades, and strange curved bows. At the front walked a male Velen who could only be Lyra's father. He was massive, his body covered in scars that told stories of countless battles. His forearms each held a different weapon. His golden eyes were hard as stone. This was Kale, the hunt leader. Beside him walked a female Velen, younger but no less impressive. She moved with the grace of a natural fighter. Her armor was decorated with small skulls. Some Taeyang recognized, some he did not. This must be Vera, Lyra's older sister. But it was the third figure that made Taeyang pause. An ancient Velen female, her skin faded to almost white, walked between Kale and Vera. She carried no weapons. Her eyes were clouded with age, but she moved with purpose. She wore robes covered in strange symbols. This was clearly a person of importance. A spiritual leader. The three of them stopped 10 feet from Taeyang. The rest of the warriors spread out in a semicircle surrounding the outpost. It was not an aggressive formation, but it was clear they could attack at any moment if needed. Kyle spoke. His voice was deep and rumbling like distant thunder. The translator that Taeyang wore struggled for a moment, then provided the words. I am Kale, hunt leader of the Velen. You have my daughter. Return her to me. Taeyang kept his voice calm and clear. I am Taeyang Kim of Earth. Your daughter is safe. She's inside, recovering from her injuries. You are welcome to see her. Kale's eyes narrowed. How did she come to be in your possession? I found her in the canyon being attacked by a rift stalker. I helped her. She was badly hurt. I brought her here to heal. Murmurs ran through the Velen warriors. The ancient female raised one hand and the murmurs stopped. She stepped forward, studying Taeyang with those clouded eyes. When she spoke, her voice was soft but carried weight. I am Elder Rin. You say you fought a death shadow? Yes. And you killed it? Yes. You are very small. Very weak-looking. How did you accomplish this? There was no insult in her tone, only curiosity. I used tools, strategy. I did not try to match its strength. I found its weakness and exploited it. Vera spoke for the first time. Her voice was sharp. You expect us to believe that one small creature like you killed a death shadow? They are legends. They are nightmares. Even our greatest warriors fear them. I do not need you to believe me, Taeyang said quietly. The dead creature is still in the canyon if you wish to see it. And your sister is alive because of what I did. That is all that matters to me. Kale made a gesture. The door to the outpost opened and Lyra came out, limping slightly but walking on her own. When she saw her father, she made a sound that might have been a sob. But she did not run to him. She walked slowly, stopping beside Taeyang. Father, she said, the human speaks truth. He saved my life. The death shadow had me cornered. I was going to die. He fought it and killed it. Kale's expression was difficult to read. Pride, relief, but also something else. Shame. You failed your trial, he said. Lyra lowered her head. Yes, father, I failed. I could not complete it. I understand if you must cast me out. No, Taeyang said sharply. Everyone looked at him. She did not fail. She survived. That is success. Kale turned his hard gaze on Taeyang. You do not understand our ways, human. The trial of ascension is sacred. It is how we prove our worth. How we earn our place in the tribe. Lyra did not complete her trial. She did not return with proof of her hunt. By our law, she has brought shame upon herself and her family. Your law is stupid, Taeyang said. Silence fell like a hammer. Several warriors reached for their weapons. Vera's face darkened with anger. Even Unji gasped behind him. But Taeyang did not back down. She went into the forest alone to hunt something dangerous. She fought. She got hurt. But she survived. She lived when she should have died. If that is not strength, I do not know what is. Taeyang stepped forward. My people have a saying. That which does not kill us makes us stronger. Lyra learned something from her failure. She will be better next time, stronger, smarter. That is growth. That is true strength. Kale was very still. You dare to question our traditions? Our sacred laws? I question any law that would punish someone for surviving, Taeyang said. Honor is good. Tradition is good. But life is better. A living daughter who learned a lesson is worth more than a dead daughter who died with honor. Vera moved forward, her hand on her weapon. You insult us. You insult our way of life. I do not insult you, Taeyang said, meeting her eyes. I respect your strength. I see your courage. But I also see you about to throw away something precious because of pride. Is that really strength? Or is it fear? Vera's voice was dangerous now. You call me afraid? I call you afraid of change. Afraid of questioning old ways. Afraid that maybe strength comes in forms you never considered. Elder Rin laughed. It was a soft, wheezing sound, but it cut through the tension like a knife. Peace, Vera. The human has courage, if not wisdom. She looked at Taeyang. You speak boldly for one who stands before 24 warriors who could end you in moments. Killing me does not make my words less true, Taeyang said. The elder studied him for a long moment. Then she turned to Kale. There is an old custom, the test of the deep forest. If this human truly believes what he says, let him prove it. Let him show us this human strength he speaks of. Kyle nodded slowly. Yes, the test. He looked at Taeyang. You claim that survival is strength. That adaptation is power. Then survive one night in the deep forest, alone with only basic tools. If you live until dawn, Lyra's honor will be restored. She will be welcomed back as one who was saved by a warrior. And if I die? Taeyang asked. Then you die, and you will be remembered as a fool who spoke bigger than his strength. Lyra grabbed Taeyang's arm with two of her hands. No, the deep forest is death. Even our strongest warriors do not go there alone. It is where the death shadows nest. Where worse things hunt. Taeyang looked at her. Her golden eyes were wide with fear. Fear for him. He smiled gently and removed her hands from his arm. I will be fine. You cannot know that. No, he agreed. But I will try, because I believe what I said. Survival is strength, and I am very good at surviving. He turned back to Kale. I accept your test. When do I go? Now, Kale said. Before you have time to reconsider, Doyen stepped forward. This is insane. Taeyang, you are still recovering from Rift Stalker venom. You can barely walk without pain. I have to do this, Taeyang said quietly, for Lyra, and to show them what humans can do. Yunji came forward with a medical kit. Then take this at least, and this. She handed him a small emergency beacon. If you are dying, activate it. We will come get you. If I activate that, Lyra stays shamed, Taeyang said. I cannot use it except as a last resort. Elder Rin approached him. She placed one ancient hand on his shoulder. You are either very brave or very foolish, Taeyang Kim. Perhaps both. The deep forest will show us which. Her clouded eyes seemed to see through him. But I sense something in you. Something old. Something strong. Go with my blessing, human. Show us what your kind is made of. Taeyang nodded. He looked at his team. Doyen was angry but resigned. Unji was worried but trying to hide it. He looked at Lyra. She had tears running down her face. I will see you at dawn, he told her. Then he turned and walked toward the deep forest. Behind him, he heard Lyra say something in her language. The translator whispered the words to him as he walked. Come back alive, human. Please come back alive. Taeyang did not answer. He simply walked forward into the shadow of the crystal trees, where the nightmare things hunted. He had 24 hours to survive. 24 hours to prove that humanity's greatest strength was not in muscles or armor or fangs. It was in refusing to quit. In adapting. In finding a way when there seemed to be none. The forest swallowed him. And the test began. The medical bay smelled of antiseptic and something sweet that Taeyang could not identify. He woke up slowly, his body feeling heavy. Every muscle ached. The venom from the Rift Stalker had done its work, but the medical team had saved him. He had been unconscious for almost a full day. You are an idiot, said a voice beside him. Taeyang turned his head. Dr. Yunji Park sat in a chair next to his bed, her arms crossed. She was the outpost medical officer and xenobiologist. Her face showed both relief and anger. Good morning to you too, Taeyang said. His throat was dry. Morning. It is evening. You have been out for 20 hours. Yunji leaned forward. Rift Stalker venom. Do you know how many people survive that? Not many, Taeyang. Not many. But I did survive, he said. Barely. Yunji stood up and checked the monitors above his bed. Your body fought hard. Humans are tough, I will give you that. But you should never have been out there alone. Is she okay? Taeyang asked. The girl? Yunji's expression softened slightly. The alien girl? Yes, she is in the next room. Her biology is strange. Silicon-based, not carbon like us. I've never seen anything like it. She paused. She has not stopped asking about you. At least I think that is what she is asking. The translator is still learning her language. Can I see her? You can barely sit up. I need to see her. Please. Yunji sighed but helped him into a wheelchair. She pushed him to the next room. The door slid open with a soft hiss. The girl sat on a bed similar to his. Her injured leg was wrapped in bandages. When she saw Taeyang, her golden eyes went wide. She said something quickly in her musical language. The translator is getting better, Yunji said. A small device on the wall blinked. She says, "You live." The warrior lives. Taeyang smiled. "Tell her I am happy she is safe." The translator worked for a moment. The girl listened to the translation and then spoke again. Her voice rose and fell like a song. She says her name is Lyra. She wants to know your name, Taeyang. Taeyang Kim. Lyra repeated his name carefully. It sounded strange in her accent, but also somehow right. She pressed her four hands together in what looked like a gesture of respect. Over the next few hours, they learned more about each other. The translator got better with each sentence. Lyra explained that she was from a tribe called the Velen. They were nomadic, moving through the crystal forests and hunting for food. She had been on something called a trial of ascension, a test to prove she was an adult. She was supposed to hunt a dangerous creature and return with proof, but I failed, Lyra said softly. The translator made her voice sound sad. I could not kill the beast. It hurt me instead. In my tribe, failure brings shame. I would be cast out, Taeyang frowned. You survived. That is not failure. That is success. Lyra looked confused. But I did not complete the trial. I did not return with honor. You are alive, Taeyang said. That is more important than honor. This concept seemed to puzzle her. She tilted her head, her golden eyes studying him. Your people think differently than mine. Maybe. But being alive means you can try again. You can learn and grow. Dead is just dead. Lyra was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, You killed the Rift Stalker. My people call them Death Shadows. No one kills them. They are too strong, too dangerous. But you killed one. She leaned forward. And you are so soft, your skin is not armored. You have only 2 arms. You should be weak. Humans are not very strong, Taeyang admitted. We are not very fast either. But we are stubborn. And we think. We use tools. We adapt. I saw you fight, Lyra said quietly. You were scared. I could see it. But you did not run. I was terrified, Taeyang said honestly. But you needed help. So I stayed. Lyra looked at him like he was a mystery she was trying to solve. The door opened and a man in security uniform walked in. Doyen Choi was the outpost security officer. He was tall and serious, always thinking about threats. He looked at Lyra with suspicion. We need to talk, Doyen said to Taeyang. Outside. Taeyang nodded to Lyra and let Yoonji wheel him into the hallway. Doyen closed the door behind them. The sensors picked up movement in the forest, Doyen said without greeting. Large groups. Multiple signatures. They are converging on our location. How many? Yoonji asked. At least 20. Maybe more. Big ones, too. Same size as our guest in there. Doyen crossed his arms. I think her tribe is coming. Taeyang felt a chill that had nothing to do with the venom. How long? They will be here by tomorrow morning. Maybe sooner. Doyen looked at the door to Lyra's room. We do not know if they are coming in peace or war. We do not know their culture or their intentions. For all we know, they could see us as enemies for taking her. We saved her life, Yoonji said. They do not know that. And even if they did, it might not matter. Doyen looked at Taeyang. You are the one who brought her here. This is on you. What do you want me to do? Taeyang asked. Throw her out? Let her die? I want you to think, Doyen said sharply. We are 5 humans on an alien world. If that tribe decides we are a threat, we cannot fight them. We would have to evacuate. I will talk to them, Taeyang said. You can barely walk. Then I will talk to them sitting down. Taeyang looked at both of them. I am not hiding. I saved that girl because it was the right thing to do. I will face her tribe the same way. With honesty. Doyen shook his head but did not argue further. He walked away, muttering about foolish geologists. Yoonji wheeled Taeyang back into the room. Lyra looked up, sensing something was wrong. Your tribe is coming, Taeyang said. We detected them in the forest. Lyra's face went pale, even paler than normal. You are in danger. My father, he is the hunt leader. He will think you captured me. He will think you are a threat. I will explain what happened. He might not listen. Outsiders are not trusted. She looked down at her hands. I failed my trial. I brought shame. He will be angry. Does your father love you? Taeyang asked. Lyra looked up, surprised by the question. Yes, of course. Then he will listen. A father who loves his daughter will want to know the truth. Lyra did not look convinced, but she said nothing more. That night, Taeyang could not sleep. He sat by the window, watching the crystal forest shimmer in the moonlight. The sensors showed the approaching group more clearly now. 24 Velans moving in formation like trained warriors. They would arrive at dawn. Yunji brought him coffee. You should rest. Cannot. Too much to think about. She sat beside him. Do you regret it? Saving her? Taeyang thought about the question. He remembered the girl pressed against the canyon wall, waiting to die. He remembered her golden eyes filled with fear. He remembered making the choice to help instead of run. No, he said finally. I do not regret it. Even if tomorrow goes badly. Even if we have to evacuate. She is alive because I helped. That means something. You humans and your heroics, Yunji said, but she was smiling slightly. You all think you can save the world. Not the world, Taeyang said. Just one person at a time. They sat together in silence, watching the forest. Somewhere out there, Lyra's tribe was coming. Warriors who valued honor and strength above all. Warriors who did not know humans, did not trust outsiders, did not understand mercy. Tomorrow, Taeyang would meet them. Not as an enemy, not even as a friend, but as the man who saved one of their own. He did not know if that would be enough. But he knew he would face them honestly, without hiding, without fear. Because that was what humans did. They stood up. They told the truth. They faced the consequences of doing the right thing. The crystal forest hummed its low song. The twin moons rose higher, and Taeyang Kim prepared to meet an alien tribe that could either accept him or destroy everything he had worked to build. Dawn was coming. The crystal forest of Kessa 7 shimmered under the twin suns. Taeyang Kim wiped the sweat from his forehead and checked his scanner one more time. The readings showed rich mineral deposits just ahead in the canyon. He had been walking for 3 hours now, away from the safety of the research outpost. His team leader would be angry if she knew he went this far alone, but Taeyang was confident. He had survived worse places back on Earth. The crystals grew taller here, some reaching 50 feet into the purple sky. They hummed with a low frequency that made his teeth ache. Taeyang adjusted his pack and kept walking. The canyon was close now. He could see the rocky walls rising through the crystal formations. Then he heard the scream. It was high-pitched and desperate. The sound bounced off the crystals and seemed to come from everywhere at once. Taeyang froze. His hand went to the plasma cutter on his belt. It was a mining tool, not a weapon, but it was better than nothing. Another scream. This time he could tell the direction. He ran toward the sound, his boots crunching on the crystal sand. His heart pounded. Every instinct told him to turn back, to call for help, to be smart about this. But someone was in trouble. He burst through a cluster of crystals and stopped dead. The canyon opened before him, and at the bottom, maybe 30 feet down, a girl was pressed against the rock wall. But she was not human. Her skin was pale blue and seemed to shimmer like mother of pearl. She had 4 arms, 2 of which hung limp and bleeding. Her eyes were large and golden, filled with terror, and in front of her was a nightmare. The creature was massive, easily 12 feet tall and 20 feet long. It walked on 6 legs, each ending in claws that could tear through steel. Its body was covered in thick armored plates that looked like black stone. A row of spines ran down its back, each one dripping with something that made the rocks hiss and smoke where it landed. Venom. Taeyang recognized it from the colony briefings. A rift stalker. The most dangerous predator on Kessa 7. The briefing had been clear: if you see one, run. Don't try to fight. Don't be a hero. Just run, the girl screamed again. One of her legs was bleeding badly. A broken weapon lay near her feet, useless. She had nowhere to go. The rift stalker was taking its time, enjoying the hunt. Taeyang's mind raced. He should run. He should call for help. The outpost was 3 hours away. By the time help arrived, the girl would be dead. He looked at his equipment. A plasma cutter, some climbing rope, mining charges for breaking rocks, and a scanner. Nothing that could stop an armored killing machine. The rift stalker took a step forward. The girl pressed herself flatter against the wall. Her golden eyes were squeezed shut. She was waiting to die. Taeyang made his decision. He grabbed 3 mining charges from his pack. They were small but powerful, designed to break through solid stone. He set them to remote detonation and threw them as hard as he could. They landed in the rocks above the canyon, right over the rift stalker's head. The beast's head snapped toward him. Its eyes were red and filled with hunger. It had found new prey. Hey, Taeyang shouted. Over here, ugly. The Rift Stalker roared. The sound was like metal scraping against metal. It turned away from the girl and started climbing up the canyon wall. Those claws that seemed too big and heavy somehow found purchase in the smallest cracks. It climbed fast. Taeyang waited. His thumb hovered over the detonator. The creature was halfway up. Not yet 20 feet. Not yet 10 feet. He could see the venom dripping from its spines. He could smell its breath like rotting meat. Now. He pressed the button. The explosion was deafening. Rocks fell like rain. The Rift Stalker roared in surprise as tons of stone crashed down on its back. It fell tumbling down into the canyon. But when the dust cleared, it was already getting up. The armor plating had protected it. The beast shook itself and looked up at Taeyang. If a creature could look angry, it did now. Taeyang clipped the climbing rope to his belt and jumped. He rappelled down the canyon wall, paying out rope as fast as he dared. The Rift Stalker was climbing again. Taeyang hit the bottom and ran to the girl. She stared at him with wide eyes, saying something in a language he did not understand. "Can you walk?" he asked, knowing she probably could not understand him either. She shook her head, pointing to her injured leg. Blood ran down to the crystal sand. The Rift Stalker reached the canyon floor. It moved between them and the only way out. Taeyang pulled out his plasma cutter. The tool's beam could cut through rock and metal. But the Rift Stalker's armor was legendary. He would need to find a weak spot. The creature charged. Taeyang pushed the girl behind him and rolled to the side. Claws scraped the rock where he had been standing. The plasma cutter flared to life in his hand. He slashed at the beast's leg, but the beam barely scratched the armor. The Rift Stalker's tail whipped around. Spines caught Taeyang across the chest. His shirt tore and pain exploded across his ribs. He felt the venom starting to burn. His vision blurred for a moment, but he did not fall. Could not fall. The girl was depending on him. Humans were not the strongest species. They were not the fastest. But they could keep going when others would quit. Pain was just information. Fear was just a chemical. And right now, Taeyang needed to think. The Rift Stalker turned for another charge. Taeyang saw his chance. The creature's underbelly was less armored. But he needed to get underneath it. He looked at the climbing rope still attached to his belt. An idea formed. When the beast charged again, Taeyang ran toward it. At the last second, he slid on the crystal sand, passing under the creature's body. He wrapped the rope around one of the rear legs and grabbed his end. The Rift Stalker tried to turn, but the rope pulled tight. It stumbled. Taeyang pulled himself up the rope. The creature thrashed, trying to shake him off. Claws scraped at him. The spines waved dangerously close. But he climbed higher, getting under the body where the armor was thinnest. The plasma cutter flared again. This time it bit deep. The Rift Stalker screamed. Taeyang held on with one hand and cut with the other. Blood black and thick poured down. The beast rolled, trying to crush him. He dropped free just in time, hitting the ground hard. The Rift Stalker was wounded now, badly, but it was not dead. It turned toward him one last time, rage in its red eyes. Taeyang stood up. His whole body hurt. The venom made his hands shake. But he raised the plasma cutter one more time. The Rift Stalker charged. Taeyang did not run. He aimed for the wound he had made and fired. The beam went deep, finding vital organs. The creature's roar turned into a gurgle. Its legs collapsed. It fell forward, sliding on the sand, and stopped 10 feet from Taeyang. It did not get up again. Taeyang dropped to his knees. His hands were shaking. The plasma cutter fell from his grip. He could hear the girl making sounds behind him. When he turned, she was staring at him like he was something from a dream or a nightmare. Her forearms were clutched to her chest. He crawled over to her. She flinched but did not run. Taeyang pulled out his medical kit and gestured to her leg. She watched as he cleaned and bandaged the wound. His hands were gentle despite the trembling. The human medicine seemed to work on her alien biology. The bleeding stopped. Taeyang tried to stand, but his legs would not hold him. The venom was spreading. He looked at the girl and managed to smile. She said something in her melodic language. He did not understand the words, but the tone was clear. Gratitude and wonder. He pointed up at the canyon rim. She nodded. Using her good leg and all four arms, she helped him stand. Together they began the long climb out. Taeyang's vision kept blurring, but he focused on one handhold at a time. One step, then another. Behind them, the Rift Stalker lay dead in the crystal sand. The first of many impossible things that Taeyang Kim would accomplish on Kessa 7.